We'll keep them running.
All right.
All right, you are clear.
All right. Well, hello everyone. Good afternoon. Um, my name is Dan Zielinski. If you guys have not heard or met me before, wish we were all in person, of course, as everybody wishes, but we'll do it over this. So uh, I've been known for basically at Jenks Planetarium, we make our own planetarium shows. And the unique thing that we do at Jenks is we use our student body to do so. So I use my students to program, my students for the art, the narration, the music sometimes. We did a unique thing, which I'm about to show you. We actually used the students to write the script this time for this year's production. But the main point is our planetarium is based around production. We like to, every year, we put at least one big show on and usually one smaller one on the side. Sort of the first one's to practice in the first semester, and then the second one's really the big, 20, 25-minute major production. So if you are coming in and you're brand new to Starry Night and ATM4 and your planetarium in general, this is going to be big stuff. This is going to be over your head, but hopefully what you get out of it is the possibilities that you do have. So if there's any, so you look at it and it's like, whoa, there's no way I can do that now, but that's cool to know I can. So I'll be doing a lot of show production tips in this one. And unlike past years, I'm changing it up a little bit. Since this was online, I figured I'd try it up. We're going to actually do a lot in PowerPoint. There's a lot of things you can do to help your dome and help your productions or just help your presentations if you understand that PowerPoint can be your friend. It's a program. The reason I like to use PowerPoint, I mean, yes, you could do this on more professional, Photoshops and video editors and stuff like that, other content creation programs. But PowerPoint's readily available for most universities, most schools, most students. So why, if you can do it in something that they already have, they're already familiar with, you might as well. And that's sort of what brought the idea of kind of doing this. So the first thing I want to point out, just because once I get into this, I usually don't get to the end of my list and I'll forget something. I don't want to forget. For those that are relatively new, I wanted to point out my YouTube page. You can ignore these top four. When COVID hit, I had to make YouTube lessons for the planetarium. But down here, you'll notice that I have actually tutorials that explains a lot about how to make quick text slides, how to make slides in general, all the commands. So basically, a lot of the stuff I do in ATM4 for making shows, I put right here on my YouTube channel. So if you pretty much just YouTube Jenks Planetarium, you can find a lot of my tutorial videos on here. So I want to make sure I say that up front so everybody's aware of it. These are relatively old, but they're still intact. A lot of the commands that work 6 years ago still work today. They may be slightly different, but for the most part, they work. So that is there. I wanted to make sure I pointed that out before I got deep into it, because I usually don't get through my stuff every single year. I get kind of stuck. Okay. So the first thing I want to show you is a clever way in creating credits that type. There is a way you could do it without the method I'm going to show you, but it would be mind-rackingly hard, and I don't know why anybody would try to put themselves through it. So what I'm going to do is actually show you it's like a 30 seconds. It's in the first 2 minutes of the show. We just produced this last year called From Earth to Saturn. So I'm going to show you just a brief 30 seconds. It goes right into the intro credits, if you will. And I'll show you then how I made it and how you can make it and all that stuff. So this will have narration and music. So go ahead and turn up your speakers if you need to. But let's go ahead and show this portion of the show.
Not for robotic exploration.
In October of 1997, the Cassini orbiter launched to embark on its one-way trip to uncover the mysteries contained within and around Saturn.
All right, so let me ask, is this bar of mouse select text and draw, is that seen by you guys?
No.
Not?
No.
It's not.
What are you trying to
Well, for my mouse shows up as a red dot, right?
No,
It was showing up as a red. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Okay. But you don't see the menu that makes that dot. Because to me, it's in the way, but I was wondering if it was in the way for you. It's not.
No.
Cool. All right. So you'll notice that this typed out. Now, the show is about the Cassini satellite. And actually, as I mentioned before, this was actually written by a student. And I have to plug her because that is how amazing she is here. She was active. It's right here. She was actually named one of Mars Generation's the 14 or was it 24 under 24. So they choose 24 students in STEM that are under 24 years of age. And she actually is from Bartlesville, Oklahoma, which is just an hour north of us. And she wrote the entire script. She's got this great talk that she's given at many conferences about Cassini and everything that Cassini kind of learned about Saturn and just all this plethora of information that she provided. And so she brought that to our astronomy club here in Tulsa. And people said, you should work with her. You should make a planetary show about this. This would be great. And that's what we did. So what you saw was the beginning of that. But the point here is, on top of plugging Abigail, of course, was the fact that because this was a Cassini show about this satellite going through space, we thought it would be cool if our font was sort of that text type. And so you can see this looks very computerized and kind of older computer too. Cassini's, I guess for computer's sake, is on the older, what's on the older side. So we thought this older computer type would look good, but we wanted to make it type. Now you could do this sort of slide if you wanted to just take a word slide and then slide something out in front of it, but that's more of a wipe than a typing. And so I want to show you guys how you can actually very easily make something like this. So I'm going to bring this over here. So this is in the notes. So if I really quickly bring back the planetarium notes here. Oops, I just minimized it. Didn't mean to do that. All right, so you can see everything I'm going to do is right here. I'm actually using the exact same PowerPoint program file that I have in this program as I'm about to use right here. So these are in the notes in case you miss it or that I go too fast. And please feel free to interrupt. Michael is watching the chat. I like a more free form. I like interaction. So if there's something you have a question on, please let Michael know. Or myself live, that's fine. It just lets me know if people are getting what I'm getting here. So anyway, what you want to do is make a slideshow of only 3. All right, so you can see I have one slide here of black. The third slide is also black. The key here though is that this one is your major event. What you want to happen right here is a look at that looks better on the dome. All right, I thought that was just a clever way because that's what we've been saying all week. Everything looks better on the dome. All right, so what you want to do is make 3 slides, make them back the black background. Hopefully everybody realizes how to do that. You go to Format Background, and then you make it black. And then usually I apply that to all, so that way that's done. Okay, so you make all your slides. You make 3 slides, make them all black background. Now your first and third slide are going to be identical. The key here is to go to Transitions. Make sure they are, it doesn't matter this one, but this is the key right over here is after. Make sure they're going to advance after 1 second, not on the mouse click, because you won't be mouse clicking. You're making an animation that will run on its own. So make sure mouse click is not clicked and make sure that it's going to advance after 1. And that's the same for both the first and the third slide. Okay, these are both identical. The second slide is what changes. Now the second slide, you can see this changes to 5 seconds. All right, you can even make it 10 if you wanted to, it doesn't matter. You just want it long enough that the animation finishes. So if it takes, I don't know, if it takes 2 seconds for your whole text to print out, make it 5 and give yourself 3 seconds of leeway. The larger you make that number, 1, the larger the file, so you don't want to make it too big. But 2, the more room you have to maneuver it in your show. So I always recommend at least 3-4 seconds after the animation is finished. So if you notice quick, I'll show you how I do it first, but you'll notice that this takes what? About 2 seconds, maybe 1.5 seconds to type out. So that's why when you initially hear, I was like, okay, if that takes 2 seconds, I'll make it go to 5. That gives me a nice 3-second buffer to manipulate it in ATM4, which will be the next thing I show you. But how do you make it? Most people actually do not realize how to make this type. And so what you're going to do once you put your type text out there, and by the way, for those that are new, recommend always type in white. Always, always, always. White on black. The reason for that is you can then manipulate the color in HTML4. So if we go back real quick to my screen, you'll notice that the top one's orange, the bottom one's green. But when I created them, they're both white. I'm just telling HTML4 to then say one's orange, one's green. It is save yourself trouble. Make all your text always white and do the rest in HTML4. It gives you way more options. But with that, I'm going to highlight the square with the text. The key here is make sure your animation pan is open. That's usually, some people don't know where that is. So up here on the top, animations and animation pane. So then when you, actually let me delete this because technically you would not have something there. So whatever word you have here, you're going to add an animation. All right, you want it to appear, because that's all we're really doing is having the letters appear. All right, but the key is make sure it goes with the previous. And since the previous slide is just automatic, that means this will automatically run. That's exactly what we want. Again, we don't want it hands-on at all, no clicking. So we make it with previous. So it will now run automatically. I now right-click on that animation and I go to Effect Options. And you'll see right here, Animate the Text. This is what usually happens. It just pops up all at once. What you want is by letter. You can go by word. Maybe if your show calls for it word by word, fine. Maybe it's a read-along. It's a book and you want to go word by word. That would work well there. But again, I wanted more of the teletype, the type look. So I went by letter. And I recommend, to make it look nice, to go at least to 0.1. If not, you have to type in 0.05, which would look fast. So I'll show you the difference. 0.05 looks like that, which I think looks nice. I think that's a good tempo versus just 1 it's okay. It's a little slow, but you can see the setting that it defaults on is just, it's a half second between letter. I already put my audience to sleep with that. So we don't want that kind of stuff. All right, so we want to make sure it looks decent. So again, like I said, 0.05 is the one that I usually go with because I like that really fast teletype look. Okay, questions so far with what I've done? Anything that come up yet, Michael, or at all?
You have one question in the chat, Dan.
I do. I'm sorry, I don't even have chat up at the moment.
Oh, the question is, do you optimize for videos selected on your screen share?
Say again?
For Zoom, have you optimized for video? It's a little laggy, I think, the Zoom itself.
Yeah, it's hard to it's hard for me. This is Kathy. It's hard to see the actual effect in the type on because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm getting a lot of lag.
I was late getting in. I don't even know what piece of software you're using.
That's PowerPoint.
Oh, PowerPoint.
I don't know the answer to that because I don't know Zoom that well. Do you know what options I should be looking at?
It would be in when you set up the screen share, before you actually go to the screen share, there's a button down at the bottom of the window that says optimize for video. It reduces the resolution a little bit, but it increases the frame rate.
Ah, I have found it. Okay,
Nailed it.
it's now clicked. Optimized share for full screen video clip. Okay. So now you're saying if I play this, it should play more smoothly.
Correct.
You fixed the problem.
Well, Dan, I'm just going to give you some, it's hard to read some of the smaller stuff. So explain it pretty well when you're like the big stuff, you can read the big letters, but yeah, like what you're clicking on and stuff, you might have to explain a little more in detail now.
No problem.
Yeah, unfortunately, Zoom gives you the choice. You can either have good frame rate or you can have good resolution.
I see. I think I'll just act slower then a little bit. I'm used to really ripping things up. I think the smallest, so this makes sense to you, hopefully. In the second slide, we have now created a full sentence or whatever our words are. So when I went to right click on this option, this menu comes down and I want the fourth one, which is Effect Options. All right, that's what opened up this menu. All All right, so if you are following along, you want the third one down, animate text, and you want it by letter if you want the teletype look. Again, if you want it more of maybe it's a book and they're reading along, by word would probably work a little better for you. But by letter is what I was looking for in the show. And then of course I'm lowering the seconds per letter to about 0.1 if you want it slow, or my preferred is 0.05. I think that's a nice fast speed for that type. Okay. So again, all this are in the notes on how to do this. And see, it's pretty straightforward. Really, it's more kind of introducing you guys to the fact that it can be done, and then how to put it into your ATM4 programs is the next part. That's usually the more complicated part. So pretty easy to make a PowerPoint show, PowerPoint slide in PowerPoint, an animated slide. The key here though is you need to save it correctly. So when I go to File and Save As, let me open this up a little bit. Hopefully that is not too small. All right. Instead of the Save As type, don't save it as a PowerPoint presentation. Well, technically you should do it once. Make sure it's like this process is saved so you don't have to redo the process. Highly recommend that you save it like I would save this now. It looks better on the dome. Save that once. And then the next time you have to make a slide, then you just go to this one and edit the words. So that way you don't have to do this process over and over again. But key point here is you need to save it as an MPEG-4. All right, so the MPEG-4 video. That's the key here. So once you do that, you'll see on the bottom of your screen, it says create video. And it's gonna create an MP4 video. All right, and it takes a few seconds to do that because it's got to render it, basically playing through that 12-second, 7-second animations you've made and puts it into one file. So if I real quickly bring my files over here.
Dan, you just blew my mind. I didn't know that PowerPoint would save as an MPEG.
Yeah.
So cool.
Oh, absolutely. That's how you make cool stuff. I'll show you some of the examples I've used. Yeah, so now it's saved as an MP4. I was bringing this over here. So this, for example, where is it? Right here's our file. All right, so this is the file. I saved a little differently for what I'm about to do, but there's my file. There's some of the ones I'll be using later just for an example. But there's our file. It's now a video MP4 file. Now, where you put it is going to be different depending on whether or not you're working on the dome or in Preview Suite. And I believe I provide both in the notes. I do, right there. I make that nice and big for y'alls. All right. So if you're in the dome, you want it in RenderBox Movie 7. That's where the file eventually needs to end up. In Preview Suite, it's that long string of just garbage right there. So you need to go to, program data, simulated curriculum, prefs, data into movies. So if you want to play with Preview Suite, you put it into that folder. I've made a shortcut to that folder so I don't have to go through all that junk to find it. So I would recommend, if you're going to do this a lot, to do that. So for example, if I go to my desktop, you can see right here, I have a shortcut for movies. Boom, I'm already in that folder. So I highly recommend make a shortcut so you can access this a little faster.
Dan, can I interrupt with a question?
Absolutely, please do.
If you say you make something on Preview Suite and you save it to that, the file that you have to save it to Preview Suite, and then eventually whenever we get back in our domes, can you chunk, oh my God, what is it called? Chunk this, or it's not chunking, it's, when you
Package it.
package, thank you.
Package.
Not when you package it, can you unpackage it onto the dome and it will still go into the appropriate folders?
That one's definitely a question for Spitz. I have not tried yet to package a show from Preview Suite into Dome. I don't think it works.
All right, cool. Just wondering.
Actually, I have done that.
Have you?
So,
That
yes,
is
I have,
done.
because I don't have access to our dome. Everything I do is on Preview Suite.
Right.
And I have then put it over to our dome, and you have to do a little bit of fixing,
Oh, of
but
course.
it works shockingly well.
That's awesome. Yeah, if brackets works, then great. I had actually not tried it. I just brought everything over from my dome to here, and you're absolutely right. You're gonna have to adjust. Some of the samples I'm going to show you later, I had to get in there and change the size of objects on the dome. because it just doesn't show the same as Preview Suite as the dome. Absolutely right. Adjustments need to always be made. All right. So with that, what did I just do?
Dan.
Yes.
There is no Dan Zielinski notes yet in the Spitz thing.
I heard they just got put in there.
Good.
Probably have to refresh it.
Thank you.
There.
Yeah, I heard it just got put in there. Okay, so we've made our video, and hopefully everybody sort of understands that or can follow the notes later on the fact that, hey, now I can make font that's just not, I'm going to appear or I'm going to fade. Now it's, hey, it types out and stuff like that. Now, how do you get this into your shows? All right, so that, of course, brings us to the ATM4 script. All right, so here's my example that I'm going to be using. I've done a lot of the preset here. What is this? Get rid of you. All right. So here's a quick HTML4 script. This is just a scene that turned my, just turned it black, just so you can see it a little bit better. And I'm going to run the scene, and then I'll explain what each of these 4 commands did. Okay, so it typed out, and then it goes away. Okay, not exciting now, but you can see where this could be inserted to any of your shows. So this first command, of course, is what turned the screen black. Now this is what actually loads your movie. So you'll notice it's just a slide command, but you're going to click movie instead of slides. You want to make sure you click the movie. Then you click on this portion right here, and it will go to that folder that I told you, that whole long string of things, Sky Data Movies. So you can see if you save it to the right location, bam, there's my file. And that's what I just loaded into it. You can see it looks better on the Dome MP4.
Hey, Dan,
Yes.
you might want to consider undoing what you did before with the Zoom, because nobody can read any of the options in ATM4.
Yeah.
Done. Does that look better?
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
now that we know what the animation's supposed to look like, let's look at
Okay.
resolution.
Okay, so I need to swap back and forth. Good to know. Appreciate you guys already. I love it. Okay, so let's go back and do that real quick. So this first one here, the slides. So there's my slide command. I click movie instead of slide because it is an animation. It's a MP4, not an image, not a JPEG or a PNG. I'm going to click on the movie tab. That's what brings me into the folder we talked about earlier. So if you always dump things into the same folder or into the correct folder, you're going to save yourself time because they'll be right where you left them. So here we go. This is the text folder we just made, or next text animation we just made. And as you do see, looks better on the Dome MP4. All right. I do recommend transparent. That way the black goes black. And so you don't see a big square on the Dome. You want to make sure it does see through that black color. And then wherever you want to put it on the Dome, that's all up to you. Location, size, and rotate it. Change the color in this section. Whatever you want to do, that's stuff you guys probably have done before, or you can just play with. This lesson's not about that this time. But then you would just put it into your show. All right, so if I'm going to move this to the side just a little bit. I'm going to only execute that command, and you're going to see the video is going to run. Okay, because that's what that command does. But you're going to see here, it went away on its own. The reason it went away is because the video ended. Remember, it's not a slide, it is a video. So after 7 seconds, the video is going to complete, and Starry Night goes, okay, video's done, turn off. That's what we've made. So in order to keep it on longer, or to at least keep it on as long as you want to, that's when you have to add this command here. It's in the play category. So if I do this real quick, in this long line stuff, you go to play, and then you go play, pause, or stop. You want pause. You want the video to pause. You want to wait till it's all completely texted out, typed out, pause it. The reason you pause and not stop, because if you stop it, it's going to disappear because it's saying, oh, you just want me to end the video. So if I run it now, real quickly here, you'll see that it's going to be absolute junk because it's going to erase too early. Starts typing and, okay, so that's not what we want. That ended too early. So what you want, again, is pause. That'll keep the slide up. And from that point on, it then acts as a picture. Even though it's a video, ATM4 doesn't know the difference.
Hey, Dan.
Yes.
Now, I see where you put the play cue.
Mhm.
Did you count how many seconds from your video from the first slide to the end of the second slide so it keeps up your words? Do you know what I'm saying? Because it should matter where you put the cue, the pause cue.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. So that's why you do want to time it out. That's usually what I'll do if I'm doing this for the first time. Let's say I have no play commands here, none at all. All right. I'm doing it for the first time. So I run it and I go, okay, it's running, done. I hit stop. And then at that point where that yellow line is, then that's where I know I'll put my pause there.
Okay, thanks.
Because now I know the text is finished. So I run it right there. Now you'll notice it went away because I didn't pause it ahead of time. So I'm gonna run it again. And now when it hits play, it'll pause. Okay.
And is that why you had a blank slide at the end as well?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Because the reason I like the blank slide at the end is it gives you leeway at the end of the video too. What I noticed with a PowerPoint made video is if you don't give it black at the end, and you don't catch it and it like cuts off on its own, it gives a little blip, like a graphical, it's just ugly. All right. Having that third slide of 1 second of black just seemed to kind of cure that. So you just didn't want that. It was just an ugly blip. Just gives you bookends, basically, something before, something after to work with the video. Okay, so you'll notice as we've been chatting there, it's staying there. It hasn't moved because the video is paused. All right, this then allows me to go back to that first command and say, okay, where do I want this on the dome? I want it there, maybe a little smaller. Actually, no, for this, let's make it bigger. And I definitely want it rotated a little bit, you know, that kind of thing. Change the color. I want it, you know, magenta. You know, so, but because it's acting as a slide now, once you put the video in and you pause it, it acts as a slide. You can move it around, position it, boom, and then hit OK. And now when it runs, it'll run into that new position and new color. And then pause and stay there as long as you want. Okay. The last two commands are probably self-explanatory. This just fades it. So you'll notice that all the colors go to 0 after 1 second. So it gives it a nice fade. And so it doesn't just stop and cut off. All right. So if I execute that, you'll see it just fade out. And then this is the kill command. I recommend putting it after every time you get rid of a slide, especially videos. You want to kill videos after they're done as often as possible. And what that does is it takes it out of the, we'll say, memory of the program. It takes it out of the memory of ATM4 saying, I don't even remember doing that. So it doesn't have to use resources remembering, oh yeah, there's a slide there, there's a video there that's faded out, but it's still there. So ATM doesn't have to keep thinking about it for an analogy. So then you want to get rid of it and kill it. So that way your show runs smoothly. Okay. Questions so far with that?
Very cool.
Nice. All right, let's now show you the sexy
Quick,
stuff.
but I'm sorry, Dan, before you go, this is Kathy. Have you found any problems with frame rate changes or duration changes when you save PowerPoint? I have sometimes, when saving PowerPoint as a video, find that it seems to change the speed from the original timing.
I can see that happening if it's long. I haven't run into it because usually what I make are short 5-second, 10-second things. Like I said, I use it a lot for text animation stuff. I did make one project. It wasn't for the dome, but I have seen sort of a frame rate drop in a few videos I edited for something else. So
okay, all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had
yeah.
some stuff where it seems like it sped everything up.
Okay, I could see that happening. It tries to catch up. It's saying, wait, I'm supposed to be here. Let me, cut some frames and catch up. I could see that happening. I mean, remember, this is PowerPoint, not a video editor. I'm just saying you can use it like to create small videos. So I'm not saying go ahead and now create a whole 30-minute video with PowerPoint. That would be horrible. But it just gives you these nice little tools to make small things. Yeah, definitely nothing big. I always keep them small, 5 seconds, 10 seconds max. Okay, so this leads me to maybe introduce to you guys some tricks or some people might call them features of Starry Night ATM4 combo here with videos. I like it the way it is, so I hope it's not reported saying this needs fixed, because I think it works the way it should. And maybe it is designed this way, but I want to show you something. So this is for my second example here. This is the slide we made. Looks better on the dome. This is the exact same file to play again. Okay, so it's going to play here, and then 2 seconds later, start again. So you would think on the dome, you're going to see the sentence start to write out, and then the second sentence start to write out. Watch what actually happens though, and let me do my little option change thing so you can actually see it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to run this, and now you can watch the video here. So what we expect is one video to run, and then the second video to run after it. But that didn't happen. Okay, that's because I tried to run the same video that's already running. So what you notice is that the second video popped up and said, oh, I'm supposed to be where that video is, because it's the same video. And so it came out and ended up at the same time. So if I run that one more time, first video starts, the second video is like, oh, that's where I'm supposed to be. So I'll do that. So that's what happens when you, so you can use this to your advantage, especially if you have the concentric seating like Dr. Bradstreet. You can use this now on both sides of your dome. One's in the front, one's in the back, and they're going to run together. And you can trust that it will. This also is beneficial because I can pause them with one command. So you'll notice neither of those two have gone away. And that is because this pause is pausing both of them. So with one pause command, they both pause. All right. Now, what if you do want them to run differently? All right. What if you do want looking on better on the dome to start and then a different text to come in after it? Well, you need to relabel the second video. So here it is now the way you would expect it to run. This one, oh, let me go back to detail looking at mode. There we go. Okay, so you can see in this one right here, looks better on the dome. That's our first video. But the second one looks better on the dome too. So what I've done is I went into the folder, and I got to steal it from the screen over here. Okay, I went into the folder and I just made a copy. Drag it, hold down Control, boom, I have a second copy of it. And then I just renamed it 2, and I'm going to rename this one 3 because I've already done 2. Done. Now I have 3 copies of that same video. So the first one I run will be the original, but the second one I run will be the copy. To the computer, it's 2 different files. So they say, okay, now I have to keep track of the timing of 2 different videos. So now if I show you the dome, and let me go back to that setting that allows me to do so. Okay, so now this is going to show you what happens when you have 2 different videos, even though they're the same actual text. One starts, second one starts, and that's what you expected to see the first time if you don't know that it's coming. All right. So if you want the videos to run differently, you need to have different files for that. The reason I bring that up is because I wanted to show you something else that I used this for. So we're going to go back. I'm already in optimal. Yeah, I'm in optimal video. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that planetarium show here. Okay, right here. So this section right here is about Cassini's satellite using gravity assists around Venus, Earth, and Jupiter. So we did a lot of vectors, and yeah, this would have been fine if I just used arrows that sort of appeared or faded in and out, but I wanted to really get the effect of drawing the arrows, drawing the vectors. And so I used PowerPoint to do this. So I'll show you how that's done and show you how it's programmed as soon as I show you kind of the effect that you're after. I did turn off the sound for this one, so there's no sound for this part. I'll just talk through it here. Okay, so that's Cassini's vector and that's Jupiter's vector. And then that's adding them together like you would do in a physics class. But you see the arrows are being drawn. Instead of just appearing, they're actually being drawn from the point of origin, which I think is a little more visually effective for teaching vectors. And so here it is again from Jupiter. They connect up. You draw the arrow again. So you would think, oh my goodness, now I have to make this animation 4 times, or every time I make an arrow, I have to make a different file. No. Like I pointed out, I made 1 file for the arrows and then I duplicated it 4 times. So I'm able to have 4 separate arrows animated on the screen. All right, so that's so you can do a very clever use of arrows drawing using just PowerPoint. Do you guys want to see that programmed or how it's programmed, or is that pretty self-explanatory, that example? Cool.
Show us how you animated the arrows.
Animated the arrows. We can do that. I have it ready right here. Let me turn down the. Okay, back to non-detailed mode, or detailed mode, I should say. Okay, so here it is. Same format. First slide, 1 second blank. Third slide, 1 second blank. The middle slide is the arrow. I prefer to make it big. The bigger you make it, remember, you can always make things smaller on the dome, but it's hard to make something you made small big because then you get all sort of pixelation. It's bad. So always make your objects as large as possible and then use the dome to make it smaller if you have to. So you can see here, I gave myself 10 seconds and this time I used a wipe. So if you look at the animations I used a wipe animation and I made it go from left to right. So you can see it draws from the tail to the head. And you can change the speed. If I want to go slower, I can say, I want it to take 2 seconds to wipe. Just goes much, much slower then. All right, so you can adjust the speed that you want to your arrows to appear just by simply changing how long the wipe takes. All right, but then I did the same thing. I come up here, save as, and the key point here is save as an MPEG 4. All right, so now you have an animated arrow that you can just throw into any of your shows. This is a very flexible one. And you can change its size. You can again change its color because I made it white. And that again is a big key always to do. Question? We still good, Michael? All's well?
Dan, there was a question from Kathy. What's the resolution on the movies?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
Not too big.
They're not horribly big. Where is it? Let's look at our text file, for example, we made. Yeah, they're not that large. I'm assuming the resolutions, I don't know the exact resolution, to tell you the truth.
Dan, look at the details tab.
Detail. Oh, there it is.
1920 by 1080.
1920.
Good for 4K.
Nice. I didn't know that before. And you can see the frame rate is 30 frames per second, which matches our domes. Very cool. Yeah, look at that. I'm learning something. I like you guys. All right. Any other questions? Okay, did that. Okay. How much time? What am I at? Oh, only 10 minutes. Okay. So the last portion I wanted to do is again more about. Oh, I wanted to show this. I almost forgot. Let me show you this really cool one that I did. So I was teaching an 8th grade group, and we were going over moon phases and stuff. And I don't know what maybe it was the teacher that they had, but the teacher that they had them calling the quarter moon a half moon, and that was bugging me. And so I thought, wait a minute, we gotta fix this or whatever. So I decided to go into one, and I made this, and I took this out for the Institute. So this is just a portion of where it actually goes into. It looks cool and sexy on the dome and such. But this is a little section. This will be another use for another way to use PowerPoint to create an effective educational tool. Like I said, I don't want to just always just make it for pretty. I also want it to be effective. And so this one worked out because it was a little comedic for the 8th graders because I put a sound effect with it. It's not going to be in this clip, but it has a sound effect of like a pencil scratching out the wrong answer type thing. So we switch back to optimal for the video. And let me run this short little section right here. So let me bring the scene up. So it's all about, there's our wonderful quarter moon there. And so the video, I'll go and run it. There's a half moon. No, quarter moon. Okay. So just that quick little animation, again, PowerPoint. You could have probably done that in a Blender or another thing and probably take longer. But I did that in minutes in PowerPoint. I just took half moon. I made a second animation. I crossed it out. I put in quarter moon over it, saved it as a video. Done. All right. So again, these are just quick, easy ways. And plus, again, this is PowerPoint, something your students can have access to. They can make these very, very easily. All right. So again, when you put a little sound effect to it, a little cross out sound effect, gets them to giggle a little bit. And they're like, oh, okay, it's called a quarter moon. And they still argue with me because I want to call full moon. I want to call the full moon a half moon because if we're going to call the quarter moon, why don't we call the full moon a half moon? But anyway, they always argue against me. All right. Okay. So with our with just our 5 minutes left, I guess I'll just go into this one I've done before. This is where I put at the end here. Just to introduce people. I know I knew some new people would be here. I want to introduce you to this wonderful program called MS Paint, or now they just call it Paint. I mean, we're talking ancient and of ancient.
Hey, Dan, can you switch back to the high res?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, so welcome to MS Paint. The reason I actually love this program is not because it's awesome and it does really it doesn't do anything really sophisticated, is why I like it. It's very simple and straightforward. This is my best way that I have students and myself make quick slides. So if I just want to make a slide that says hello or whatever, I just get up here. First off, I'm a big fan of making, so if you go to File and Properties, I like to make all my widths the same, and I always make them 512 by 512. Just a number I pick. The number is significant, but just any two same numbers, whatever. Okay, you can go 1024 if you want, whatever you want. But just a size I like to pick, and then I make it black. So you fill the color 1 black, just make the background black. Then you change color 1 to white, color 2 to black, and you change to text, and then you just put in hello. Oh, what happened there? There we go. Center it up, done. I hit F12, I can save that now as a PNG, and I already have my slides done. The reason I like this is 1, that's quick and easy, but 2, Paint is on your pre-flight computer. It's a Windows. So if you just go to your Windows menu, you will likely find Paint somewhere, okay? So what this prevents you from having to do is go to your laptop or your computer in your office, go to whatever you're going to use, Photoshop or any sort of other editor, make it up on that computer, save it, put it to a flash drive, take the flash drive to your pre-flight computer, upload it to your pre-flight, and then finally you can use it. You're already on your pre-flight computer. So just open up Paint, slap this word down there, make it white, and then save it and go. So because Paint is already on your pre-flight computer, this is a very quick and easy way to get these slides and words onto your dome. And then recently, I don't know how recently, I just kind of found this last year and I love it. But you'll also notice up here for the newer versions of Windows, this may not be on your pre-flights, I don't want to quote them, but it is on most newer computers, and that's Paint 3D. Paint 3D is amazing. Let me show you how amazing it can be. Where did I have it? There it is. Okay, so here's Paint 3D. So again, it's free. It comes with Windows. It's the replacement for Paint. This is their new version. And it's even better because you can actually bring out clear, transparent slides out of it. So for example, and this is the example I use in my notes, so you can refer to those, but I'm gonna say I want Saturn. I want this picture of Saturn brought out of the picture. Now, normally you would think, okay, I'll just crop it, right? I'll just do this and I'll crop it down and sweet, I got my picture. The problem with this picture is that it's got the back background on it. And if you put it up on the dome, depending on the settings, you might get this big black box in the way of your stars. And that's just not cool. I don't like that. All right. But Paint 3D is amazing because now I'm going to select Saturn and I'm going to go up here to Magic Select. Boom. It now selects only Saturn. It just sort of kind of guesses inside the square that you set. It kind of guesses what you want. And if it did wrong, you can always come here and add or remove. So it's like, oh man, I didn't want that ring. So I'll go in here and I'll tell it to remove this portion here and it's gone. Okay, oh, I really wanted this portion though, and it adds it. All right, so it's just very simple. I mean, yes, PowerPoint or sorry, Photoshop would do it better. Photoshop would do it cleaner, but this does it faster. This is super quick and easy. And again, it's free with any Windows computer. So your students would have access to this and you have access to it. So
hey,
once
it's been a while since I've been on Paint.
Sure.
What type of file is it that you save?
PNG.
PNG, okay.
PNG, because PNG keeps the background transparent if it is transparent already. JPEGs have a little trouble with pixelation and just edges. So PNGs are better. So once you have it highlighted, I hit done, and notice what it does. Pop, it pops it out. And now it's an individual thing. But notice, look, the edge, look how pretty. There's no black box. There's no black box around Saturn. It's this beautiful little cut, like right in there. It's gorgeous. All right, and then let me, then I have preset a kind of view of what it looks like on the, well, on the pre-flight. I was gonna say on the dome, but let me show it to you on pre-flight here. All right, so my examples here, my Saturn image. So take a look at this gorgeousness. All right, so this was made, I made it the exact way that I just showed. And I'm going to go ahead and switch to settings. There. Okay. So that slide, that was made exactly how I just showed you. And I went in there and I even deleted the black between the rings and the planet. And so you can see if I move this around, it's not a black box. It is now a freestanding image with a clear, transparent background. And I did it in minutes with a free program that your students have access to, likely have access to. Okay. So that's what I wanted to point out today is you don't need this big fancy program sometimes just to do the little stuff. You can just take things out like that. Boom, there's Saturn. I purposely put it in that location because you can see the planet behind it. You can see it in the rings. You can see that it is actually transparent inside. Really, really slick. Just quick ways to have your students or yourselves make just quick little things. That way you don't have to waste your time. All right, that should. Oh, look at that, 1 minute to go. Am I slick or what? All right, questions?
Why are you so amazing?
Oh, I have to, you'll have to ask my mom on that one. Yeah, I don't know.
How did you even think to do the PowerPoint video thing? Did you stumble across that?
Yeah, technically, yeah, I just stumbled across it. I was actually doing a different project for my wife and just realized I was playing with a video and I realized you could edit the video in it. You can crop videos and it changes their speeds. And I thought, oh, that's clever. That's cool. So we're putting this together. And then completely by accident, I think I hit the save as. And when I hit save as, I must have accidentally hit the M. Or was it MP4? Yeah, MP4. I must hit the M or whatever button that makes it go to like the letter. And I go into MP4. I go, MP4? That's a video. What am I doing? So I saved it. And yeah, it saved this video. I thought, oh, man. And then I just started playing. I started playing with it. I made the You know, the half moon crossed out quarter moon. That was one of the first ones I did, and just thought, oh, this is just easy. So wanted to share that with you guys.
We've known for a while you can batch save a series of PowerPoint slides as a set of JPEG images and then bring them up as individual slides on the dome. It's not perfect, but this is taking it to another level.
Yep. So I guess let me end or go whatever with, if you have any questions, feel free to grab me. I know I think the next session is, or I think tomorrow or something, there's time for ATM4 questions or something, just a freestyle. I'll be in there. But like I said, everything is on everything I did, and I did some extras, but most of what I did is here. There's the paint section. Am I on the background part? No, I'm on the right part. Okay. So there's the paint section, just explains how to make quick text slides. Then down here, there's the Paint 3D. And again, that's Saturn. I used the exact same image. I showed you exactly what I did and how to save them up. So everything's on the notes. And then, of course, my last, I got to get rid of this menu. That's always in my way. And then just to remind you of the tutorial videos, YouTube channel. So again, if something didn't click, you can go to these YouTube and just at least get intros on a lot of the stuff that you might have learned here at Institute.
Well, thank you, Dan. As always, the wizard, Dan Zielinski of Oklahoma. So if you are interested in learning more from Dan one-on-one, the 2 ATM4 open labs are tomorrow afternoon. The first is at 2, the second one's at 3, but we'll be completely honest, it's running from 2 to 4, wide open. Come in and see Dan, ask anything you want. Myself and Eric Brace will be in there as well to help facilitate. But yeah, we really wanted to have, to give Dan an opportunity to share his incredible ATM4 prowess with all of you. So Dan, thank you so much for the presentation today.